Hello students, welcome to Study Life. Today we'll be learning about the bones, but which part? The lower limbs. Well, let me tell you, the lower limbs is basically the part which is from appendicular skeletal system. Appendicular skeletal system. And this is basically divided into the limbs and the girdle. And this limb is again categorized into the upper limbs and the lower limbs. So what are we going to learn about? We are going to learn about the lower limbs, which basically makes up your legs. Right? Let's learn about this. The lower limb is being categorized into two classes, or two types, I can say, two types of bones, the girdle bone and the limb bone. Well, student, the limb bone comprises of 4 different types of bones. So here we have the different setup of the different bones. Well, the first one is femur. Then we have patella, followed by, which is also called as a knee bone. Then we have the third part, that is tibia fibula. Then we have the carpal part. As you can see here, I have the bone which is the first bone of your leg, which is called as the femur. Here you can see the head, the shaft body, followed by the tail. Am I right? And in the head structure, it is very specific that you can see a ball-like structure. Am I right, students? Well, apart from this, it has the different grooves in the lower part of the bones too. Basically, this is your thigh bone. It is not only just the femur, but also it is the longest bone of your body. So what do you need to know about it? You need to know that the femur is long, rod-shaped, comprises of the head, body and the tail. And the body shows a semi-circular ball-like structure. We'll learn about it, that why it is important. Then we have seen that on the tails we have the grooves present, as you can see, which is again responsible, and these are joined with the next bone, that is tibia and fibula. Here I have the tibia and fibula, both the bones together. Basically, tibia and fibula is the lower bones of your legs. Also, as you can see, there is a difference in the structure. What is the difference? This bone, that is the tibia, which is comparatively the thin rod shaped, and this one, that is fibula, is comparatively the flat and the rod shaped. Well, student, we have seen that the tail of the femur bones had shown some grooves. Why is that for? That is, this part of the bones joined with the tail of the femur to complete the legs. Did you get this much? Well, student, after the bone is over, after the leg bone is over, that is the 3 long bones which are connected one below the other. What do we have? Here in the down, exactly, we have the flat surface of our leg. Am I right? But before we proceed with this carpal part, let us talk about something called patella. What is this patella? Patella is basically also called as a knee bone. Why it is so? Because it is exactly present on the knee side. And it is a smallest bone of your body, the small bone. Also, it is triangular in shape. As you can see here, student, I have a bone which is called as patella. Can you see this properly? This is which shaped? Exactly the triangular shape small bone, and which is present on the upper surface, means upper side of the patella, basically covering the joint between the tibia and the femur. The tibia, fibula and the femur, where all three of them joined together, these bones covered it. You get this much? Let's talk about the next part. That is, if we talk about the upper limb, it forms the carpal. But if we talk about the lower limb, it talk about the tarsals. So the bones of the carpal and the tarsals are comparatively similar. The tarsals is again categorized into tarsal, metatarsal, three different types of bones. That is a tarsal, metatarsal and also the phalanges. Here student, I've got the tarsal parts with me. Can you see this clearly? Well, this is basically the upper part of the bone which makes up your tarsals. There are altogether 7 bones here. 7 small bones which makes up your tarsals. And why is that so important? It is important for the various movement of the legs. Alright? So how many are there altogether? There are 7 bones altogether for the tarsal part. Same as we see the carpals. We have 8 carpals in our wrist region, and with which it is responsible for the movement of the wrist. Similarly, for the legs we have tarsals, and they are altogether 7 small and different sized. You can say irregular. So what you can say? The 7 irregular bones which makes up the tarsal, which is responsible for the various movement. Similarly, if we go below it, below the tarsal region, what do we have? We have metatarsals, right? And how many altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 metatarsals. That makes up again the leg bones. So how many altogether? The 7. And you can see clearly the shape is comparatively equalized in all the different figures, whereas it is slightly different than that of the carpal's case. So how it is? It is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 altogether slightly small rod shaped structure. You get this much? Well, the last part, that is this part. What is this basically? The fingers of your legs. Am I right? So these fingers of your legs are again small shaped or slightly bigger comparatively sized. And what do they form? They form the phalanges. And again we have 2, 3, 3, 3 and this is, you can say, the formula. The formula of phalanges formula, which is also called as phalangeal formula. Which is also called as phalangeal formula. Why it is 2, 3, 3, 3 students? Because 2 it stands for the thumb bone. For the thumb bone, and these 4 threes are responsible for the different fingers, the 4 fingers which is comprises of 3 small bones. And likewise, the bones of the limb is completed. Before we talk about the girdles, you will just notice this diagram clearly and you will be able to see the arrangement of femur, that is here, tibula, followed by fibia, patella, and then we have the tarsal part, which is basically the tarsal, metatarsal and phalanges. Now, can you see the upper bones? You can see, right? That is basically makes up with your girdle. What is this basically? This basically makes the girdle bone. As you can see in all the different directions, how do it look exactly? It is again slightly irregular in shape. As you can see, the upper part, which is flat, circular. Here we have the groove. Then the lower part, which makes the pubic area. Here in the diagram, what you can see is the coccygeal part of the bone, which is comprises and arises from the vertebral column. So what is this? Do not get confused with this bone, because this does not make up your girdle. This is basically the coccyx bone of what? Of vertebral column. Of vertebral column, and together they forms the cavity inside. Well, let's talk about the girdle now. It is comprises of the three parts: ileum, ischium and pubis. Well student, here I would like to show you the upper part is called as the ileum part. This lower part is called as the ischium part, which I had just covered it. And this, which I just right now covered, it is ileum part, followed by the pubis. From here, I'd like to show you this hair, because it is also called as the pubic bone, because it is present in the pubic area. And likewise, it is completing the girdle bone. Well, it is showing a exact groove, semicircular groove, which it is showing a semicircular groove. Can you guess it for what it is present? If I talk about the hand limbs, we have again the groove present, which is responsible for the humerus to attach with the scapula, so that there should be the movement of the hands. Am I right, student? So here also same thing is happening. As you can see here, the femur is attached to the semicircular groove. Well student, as you can see, the exact formation how we have seen here in this picture, the formation of the complete attachment of the femur with respect to the semicircular groove, which is basically forming ball and socket model. And this groove is called as acetabulum. So here I have with this. What is this groove called as? This groove is called as acetabulum. And what do we have right now here? The femur. And as you can see, the semicircular part of the bone is going and attaching with this groove, which is called as acetabulum. And likewise, the movement of the legs up and down when you want to gym, when you want to run, when you want to hop. How it is possible when you are sitting, when you are adjusting your posture. In all these various activities, this ball and socket model is very, very helpful, and likewise the movement of the femur bone is taking place without even getting hurt. So as you can see in the diagram, this is how it is being arranged. Well student, I hope you've got the clarity. Altogether what we have learned is the bones of the lower limbs, which comprises of the limbs and the girdle, and the limb is comprises of the femur, patella, tibia and fibula, which is again in two. Patella is one triangular bone, femur is one triangular bone. Carpals we have 7 and phalanges altogether 14. Then we have girdle, which is a single bone but comprises of different names, that is ileum, ischium and pubis, and that's all together make up the 30 bones of your lower limbs, and 30 here, and then we have the girdle bone, which is basically the entire appendicular system, which is made up of 26 bones, followed by 30 plus 30. That is 30 upper limb and 30 lower limb, followed by the 6 girdles. That's all for this concept of bones of lower limbs. I hope you've got the clarity. To get more clarity in your concepts, stay tuned with Study Live. Thank you.